One of the problems you have with a 65-year-old cottage is, especially around toilets, if a wax seal leaks, although this is dry rotted over the years, this particular area of this original cottage built in 65 seems to just have tongue and groove pine flooring and no subfloor. And it just appears to be around the toilet flange, so it's not like moisture weeped up from the ground and got the wood wet and it dry rotted over time. I've got a joist right there and a joist right there, and what I have to do is cut this entire box out, and you may be able to see that header down there. They're like 2x12s or 2x10s. I think they're 2x12s. So I just have to put a board on that board down low enough to put a new piece of plywood in over this and have it go around that. And the way you do that is that pipe down there is, it looks like at least 4-inch strain line, and you would make that frame up and draw an X where that flange is on that piece of wood, and then cut out for the flange and cut the board in half and slide it in from each side. And if you use 3/4 inch plywood and you put a minimum of a 2x4 from that header, that joist to this joist on each side of it, and when you screw down the piece of plywood, it'll fit under that flange and it'll be in the right position to put a new toilet in, since we're going to do one anyway. And now right now is temporarily we've taped that up, we've stuffed inside the pipe because you got gases coming up from a septic line, and we have put about 16 strips of duct tape over that, plus we've sealed off the inside just to keep the odor out of the house. And we'll place this piece of plywood over it and put 4 little deck screws in it and flip this carpet back over it so nobody will accidentally step there. And that's a temporary piece of plywood that I cut to cover the hole, cover the flange, give support. We can flip this carpet back over it, and we'll probably remove this carpet, and after we install the new toilet, because I'm sure this carpet wouldn't be cut out for that one, we'll install the new carpet around it. This whole room needs to be totally redone, and this is almost a temporary repair. After you cut this back to the existing joist here, and the existing joist right there, then you cut a board beyond here. The opening is about 3 or 4 inches of board under each side, and I've got 6 deck screws screwed in there, and that one's screwed in the same way. And then you cut a piece of plywood 3/4 inch that'll fit in that groove in that hole, and then you have to mark the flange, the center of that flange in that board. And this board will go under this flange. The flange is 3/8 of an inch thick. This is 1/2 inch plywood, and the plywood has to be under here so that the screws that hold the toilet down will screw into this wood and hold the toilet down after you've collapsed the wax ring. And then you get the center here. You draw this diameter circle from that center. That's the outside of the flange. You measure under here, like whatever that is, 1 inch. And then you come in from that line and draw another circle, and that's the hole you cut. And then you draw a line through the center of that board, and you cut that hole out, and then you take a chop saw and cut those 2 lines, and you can slide it underneath this pipe and it'll pop onto that 2x4. Then you slide the one from the other side, and on one half you will screw a board into it from here to there, and a little piece of board there, and then that'll slide in, and this will slide in and set on top of this 2x4 that will be sticking out on this one, and then you can screw screws into that, and then it'll be solid across the center and on both ends. So I've got to measure this and cut the board. Well, there's the circle. There was my center point. I went out, it's 4 3/4. I went out 2 3/8 all the way around here. And I happened to find a cap that was just about where it is. And so I didn't have a compass and I had a lid. That one is marked in the wrong place. Let's see how it hits all of them. So I just have to cut that out. And this line is 8 1/2 from that. That's square, so I put an 8 1/2 down at the bottom and the top. Do a straight line. I will cut this circle out. Take my chop saw and cut that. And I won't be able to do the whole chop saw here. I might have to cut this with my circular saw. Then I can slide it under the flange on both sides. I'll have a board under this half and this half screwed into this wood, and then when this slides on top of that piece of board, that'll extend out to here. You know, just picture a 2x4 sitting there, and half under and half under this and half waiting for this to get on top of it. And then you just put some deck screws in there and right there and across each end into the 2x4, and it'll be solid. Then you take a spade bit, cut a hole, not all the way through, flip it over, you'll see the hole from the pointer come in from the other side and you have a clean hole. Then you take your table saw and run around this and cut the line out. And then you cut this line and that line so you can slide it under the flange. Well, there's our board for our toilet to sit on. And the way I've got this done is I'll probably slide this one on first, because that one would be going downhill when it went under it. And the object of the game is to put this one in, get it squared in the hole, slide this one down, get it squared in the hole, push them together, put 4 screws in there and 2 in there. You need to pre-drill those. A block of wood that small, depending on where the grain is, they'll just pop if you put a screw in it. So if you just pre-drill it like that, it will take the screw without splitting. Now hopefully it'll fit. That's it. Well, we've rebuilt the subfloor. It's braced. We've got screws over across there, screws into the doubler underneath. So we have a 2x4 under there with screws on both sides. We got this screwed down into a 2x4 and that end screwed down with a 2x4. And we have screwed the flange into this floor in 4 places. We've had tape over it for gas, plus we have a plug in it. And that's the top floor without the tiles, since this room has a rug in it. And that way we can screw this down and it's ready to install the toilet. And now the flange and the floor and this grate is all the same level. And then you will put the bolts in there to hold the toilet. And you'll put the wax ring on the toilet and set it in place and line those 2 bolts that come through the bottom porcelain on your toilet and tighten the bolts down, and it is done. It ain't going nowhere and it's not screwed down yet. Had to fix a floor that's gone all around the waste pipe on your toilet. And it is installed. We have a carpet that we'll just trim out, and that particular model of Kohler footprint is bigger, so that if you take out a regular toilet and put this in, the outside edges are wider and it'll cover the hole where it came from.